Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share a story with you. A story that will make you think about how we treat people. About dignity. About grace. And about how sometimes the cruelest moments in our lives can become the most beautiful turning points we never saw coming. So grab your tea, get comfortable, and let me tell you about Maya. Maya Richardson was 32 years old. She worked at Thompson Marketing in downtown Chicago. 6 years she'd been there. 6 years of early mornings, late nights, successful campaigns, and glowing client reviews. She was good at her job. No, she was excellent at it. But in that office, excellence wasn't enough. You see, Maya was single. And somehow, in the eyes of her colleagues, that made her fair game. Every Monday morning, it was the same routine. She'd walk through the office in her neat blazer, her head held high, and someone would say it. "Still single, Maya?" The question always came with a smile. But underneath? Underneath was mockery. Judgment. A kind of cruel satisfaction that someone so put together, so professional, so particular, hadn't landed anyone yet. Maya would smile back. Keep walking. Keep her dignity intact. But inside it stung. Every single time. The comments got worse over time. Whispered just loud enough for her to hear. She's going to die alone with a cat and a marketing report. Too picky for her own good. She thinks she's better than everyone. But here's the thing about Maya. She wasn't stuck up. She wasn't cold. She simply knew her worth. She'd worked too hard, grown too much, and learned too many lessons to settle for someone who didn't see her. Really see her. And in an office full of people who measured success by relationship status and weekend plans, that made her a target. The ringleader? Her name was Jessica Bloom. Jessica sat by the window with her little circle of followers. She was the type who smiled to your face and sharpened her knives behind your back. Everything about her was calculated. Her compliments, her questions, even her laughter. And she had decided that Maya needed to be taken down a peg. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Jessica made her move. Maya was in the break room, stirring her coffee, when Jessica walked in with that smile. You know the one. Too bright. Too sweet. The kind that sets off alarm bells if you're paying attention. Maya. Hey girl. Can we talk for a second? Maya looked up, cautious. Sure. Jessica slid into the seat across from her, leaning in like they were old friends sharing secrets. So listen, a few of us were talking, and we realized, maybe we've been a little unfair to you. Maya raised an eyebrow. Unfair how? Well, you know, the teasing, the jokes. We didn't mean anything by it, but... Jessica paused, letting the false sincerity hang in the air. We want to help. We want to set you up. Maya blinked. Set me up? A blind date. This Friday. There's this guy, sweet, humble, exactly your type. You're always saying you want someone with substance, right? Well, we found him. Every instinct Maya had was screaming. This didn't feel right. Jessica didn't do favors. Jessica didn't care about anyone's happiness but her own. But then again, maybe she was being too cynical. Maybe they really were trying to be kind. And honestly, Maya was tired. Tired of the loneliness. Tired of coming home to an empty apartment. Tired of pretending she didn't want companionship. So she said yes. Okay. Where and when? Jessica's eyes gleamed. Friday. 6 p.m. That cute little bistro near Lincoln Park. The one with the ivy on the walls. He'll be waiting for you. Maya nodded slowly. All right. Thank you, Jessica. Of course, girl. You're going to love him. I just know it. Jessica stood up, gave Maya's shoulder a patronizing squeeze, and walked away. What Maya didn't see was Jessica pulling out her phone the moment she turned the corner. Her fingers flew across the screen, typing into a group chat. The name of the chat? The show. Jessica, she said yes. Friday at 6. This is going to be epic. Lauren, did you find someone to play the part? Jessica, already done. My cousin's friend. He's perfect. Looks like he hasn't showered in a week. We told him to act broke, jobless, and awkward. She's going to freak. Mike, are we really filming this? Jessica, obviously. I'll be there with my phone. We'll get every second of her face when she realizes what's happening. Tasha, I'm dead. She's going to walk out in 5 minutes. Jessica, less. I'm betting 2 minutes tops. The messages kept coming. Laughing emojis. Betting on how fast Maya would leave. Planning camera angles. Deciding who would post it first. They weren't setting her up to find love. They were setting her up to be humiliated. Friday came faster than Maya expected. She spent an hour getting ready. She chose a coral dress, elegant but not overdone. Did her hair in soft waves. Put on her favorite pearl earrings. She looked in the mirror and took a deep breath. Maybe this will be good, she whispered to herself. Maybe. She arrived at the bistro 5 minutes early. The place was beautiful. Ivy crawled up the brick walls. Warm golden lights glowed through the windows. The smell of coffee and fresh bread drifted into the cool evening air. Maya stepped inside and scanned the room. And then she saw him. At a corner table, slouched over a cup of black coffee, sat a man who looked disheveled. His gray t-shirt had a paint stain across the front. His jeans were frayed at the bottom. His sneakers were old and scuffed. His hair looked like he'd rolled out of bed and forgotten to check a mirror. He looked up. Their eyes met. Maya's heart sank for just a moment. But then she straightened her shoulders and walked forward. Because whatever this was, whoever he was, she wasn't going to be rude. "Maya?" he asked, standing up awkwardly. "That's me," she said with a small smile. "You must be Marcus." "Yeah, that's me." He pulled out a chair for her. The gesture was clumsy but sincere. She sat down. He sat down across from her, rubbing the back of his neck. "So, I should probably warn you before we even start." Maya tilted her head. "Warn me? I'm jobless. Broke. And clearly, I didn't dress the part. You're probably wondering if I even showered." He said it like he was reading from a script, like he expected her to stand up and leave. But Maya didn't move. She looked at him, really looked at him. And then she said something he didn't expect. "I'm not here for fashion critiques. I came to meet someone. And here you are." Marcus blinked. His mouth opened slightly, then closed. He stared at her like she'd just spoken a language he didn't understand. I figured you'd be gone by now," he admitted. Maya smiled gently. "I've heard worse. Besides, everyone has a story." Outside, hidden behind a potted plant near the window, Jessica crouched with her phone raised. She was recording everything. Her face was a mixture of confusion and frustration. This wasn't going according to plan. Maya was supposed to leave. She was supposed to look embarrassed, angry, disappointed. But instead, she ordered coffee. She leaned forward. She started a conversation. And Marcus? He stopped pretending. They talked for an hour. Then 2. Maya asked him questions. Not surface-level ones. Deep ones. What did he care about? What made him laugh? What did he regret? And Marcus, who had come prepared to play a role, found himself answering honestly. He told her about feeling lost. About not knowing what direction to take. About the pressure of expectations he couldn't name. And Maya listened. Not with pity. Not with judgment. Just with presence. "You know what's strange?" Marcus said, leaning back in his chair. "I thought you'd be mad. Or embarrassed." "About what?" Maya asked. He gestured to himself. "This. Me. I mean, look at you. You're clearly successful. Put together. And I'm this." Maya set down her cup. "I've been broke. I've been in between things. And I've definitely worn worse clothes to better meals." Marcus laughed. A real laugh. "You're not like other people." "I've heard that before," Maya said with a wry smile. "No, I mean it. Most people would have walked out." "Maybe," Maya said softly. "But I'm not here for surface impressions. I'm here to see who's sitting across from me." Something shifted in Marcus's expression. The walls he'd built, the act he was supposed to maintain, crumbled. He leaned forward. "I need to tell you something." Maya's pulse quickened. "Okay, this." He hesitated. "I thought this was going to be a joke." The air between them changed. "A joke?" Maya asked carefully. Marcus looked down. His jaw clenched. Then he looked back up at her. "Your friends. Jessica. They thought it would be funny. Setting you up with someone like me. Someone who looks like a disaster. They were planning to watch you react." Maya's face remained calm. But inside, everything clicked into place. The too sweet offer. The specific location. Jessica's gleam of excitement. She'd known something was off. "And you went along with it?" she asked quietly. "I didn't expect you to be real," Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't expect this." Before Maya could respond, the door to the bistro opened. 2 men in black suits stepped inside. They were tall, composed. Their eyes scanned the room with professional precision. One of them walked toward their table. Maya's breath caught. "Car's ready when you are, sir," the man said quietly to Marcus. Maya turned to Marcus, her eyes wide. And that's when everything changed. "Welcome back, everyone." If you're just joining us, make sure you watch Chapter 1 first. The link is in the description. Because what happens next? It's going to blow your mind. When we left off, Maya was sitting across from Marcus at that little bistro. They'd been talking for hours. A real connection was forming. And then, bodyguards walked through the door. Maya sat frozen in her chair, staring at the man in the black suit. Then at Marcus. Then back at the suited man. "Car," she whispered. "Sir?" Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and when he opened them again, there was something different in his gaze. Something vulnerable. Something true. "Maya," he said softly. "My name is Marcus Holland. I'm the founder and CEO of Holland Digital Industries." The words hung in the air like smoke. Maya didn't blink, didn't move, just stared at him with an expression caught somewhere between disbelief and... Was that anger? "You're what?" "I know," Marcus said quickly, raising his hands. "I know how this sounds. But please let me explain." Outside the window, another black SUV had pulled up to the curb. A third security guard stood by the door, discreet but unmistakable. Maya's mind raced. Holland Digital Industries. She'd read about them. Everyone had. They were worth billions. And this man in the paint-stained shirt who'd claimed to be jobless, was the one behind it all? "So this was all a game?" she asked, her voice steady but cold. "No," Marcus said firmly. "It started that way, but it stopped being one the moment you didn't walk out." He leaned forward, his elbows on the table. "I found out about Jessica's plan. Someone I know works in your building. They told me what she was plotting, how they wanted to set you up with someone who looked like a mess, film your reaction, humiliate you for fun." Maya's jaw tightened. "So I stepped in," Marcus continued. "I took the place of whoever they'd originally chosen. I came here dressed like this on purpose. I wanted to see something." "See what?" Maya asked, her voice sharp now. "Who you really were," Marcus said simply. "Whether you'd treat someone with kindness when you thought they had nothing to offer. Whether you were the woman they mocked you for being, too picky, too proud, or whether you were something else entirely." He pulled something from his back pocket. A business card. Heavy cardstock, matte black with gold embossing. He slid it across the table. Maya picked it up slowly. The weight of it felt like confirmation. Like reality crashing into fantasy. Marcus Holland. Founder and CEO. Holland Digital Industries. She looked up at him, and for the first time that evening, her composure cracked just a little. "You tested me," she said quietly. "Yes," Marcus admitted. "And I'm not proud of that. But Maya..." He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. "You passed a test I didn't even know I needed to take. You showed me what real grace looks like. What real strength looks like. And I'm sorry it took deception to find it, but I'm not sorry I met you." The bodyguard cleared his throat softly. "Sir, whenever you're ready." Marcus stood slowly, his eyes never leaving Maya's face. "You can call me any time," he said, gesturing to the card. "Or not. I'll understand either way." Maya stayed seated, her mind spinning, her heart pounding. "I won't forget tonight," Marcus said with a small, genuine smile. "Not because of who I am, but because of who you are." And with that, he turned and walked toward the door. The bodyguards followed in perfect synchronization. The door chimed softly as they exited. Through the window, Maya watched him slide into the back of the black SUV. Watched it pull away into the Chicago night. Watched her entire reality shift on its axis. And outside, pressed against the brick wall with her phone clutched in shaking hands, Jessica stood absolutely frozen. Her last video had captured everything. The bodyguards. The business card. The entire revelation. The joke was no longer funny. It was burning in her hands. Monday morning hit the office like a storm nobody saw coming. Maya arrived at exactly 8:30 a.m., same as always. She wore a navy blazer and pressed slacks. Her hair was pulled back. Her expression was calm. But the office was chaos. Whispers followed her like shadows. People who normally joked at her expense now couldn't meet her eyes. Conversations died when she walked past. Coffee cups paused mid-sip. Because by Sunday night, everyone knew. The video had spread through the company like wildfire. Jessica had tried to delete it, but someone had already saved it. Someone else had forwarded it. And by Sunday evening, the entire office had seen what happened. They'd seen the bodyguards. They'd seen the business card. They'd seen Maya sit with dignity across from a man they'd chosen to humiliate her, and treat him with kindness anyway. And they'd learned who that man really was. Marcus Holland. Billionaire. Tech genius. One of the most powerful men under 40. The group chat called The Show had gone silent around 9 p.m. Friday night. The last message, posted by someone at 11:37 p.m., simply said, "Do you guys realize what we just did? That's Marcus Holland. We tried to humiliate her, and she ended up having dinner with a billionaire." No one responded. By Monday morning, HR had already opened an investigation. At 10:15 a.m., Jessica was called into the HR director's office. By 11:30, she was suspended pending review. Workplace harassment, violation of conduct policies, creating a hostile work environment. Maya heard the news from her desk. She didn't smile, didn't gloat, just nodded quietly and went back to her emails. But inside, she felt something shift. Not triumph, not revenge. Justice. Quiet, dignified justice. At noon, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hi, this is Marcus. I hope I'm not disturbing you. If you're free this evening, I'd like to see you again." This time, no disguises. Maya stared at the message for a long moment. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then another message came through. "Marcus P.S. If your coworkers are still watching, let them see this too." Attached was a photo. Marcus in a tailored charcoal suit, standing in front of the same black SUV from Friday night. One hand in his pocket, the other holding a bouquet of white orchids. His smile was genuine, warm, real. Maya felt her heart skip. She typed back, "Dinner sounds good. But this time, I'm choosing the place." The response came immediately, "Deal. Send me the address. I'll be there." Around her, the office buzzed with speculation. But Maya didn't care anymore. She had been mocked for having standards, for knowing her worth, for refusing to settle. And somehow, that same dignity had led her to someone who saw her. Really saw her. The next few months unfolded like a dream Maya had never dared to have. Marcus reached out often, but never with arrogance. Never with the weight of his wealth or power. Just with thoughtfulness. He sent her a book she'd mentioned wanting to read, hardcover, with a handwritten note inside. "Thought you might enjoy this on your commute. M." He invited her to a small art gallery opening. Not a glamorous gala, just an intimate space with local artists. They walked through quietly, talking about color and emotion and what it means to create something from nothing. And one Friday evening, he sent a car to pick her up. Not for a five-star restaurant, but for his home just outside the city. When she arrived, Marcus was waiting at the door. Barefoot, wearing jeans and a cotton shirt. Looking completely, disarmingly human. "I made pasta," he said with a grin. "Well, I stirred. That counts, right?" They ate on the terrace under string lights. Talked until the stars came out. And for the first time, Marcus opened up completely. "The hardest part," he said quietly, "is never knowing if people see me or just what I have. I've dated women who said they didn't care about money, until they did. I've been chased, used, and studied like some kind of prize to win." He looked at Maya. "But you? You sat with me when you thought I had nothing. You offered help, dignity, and that's something I can't buy." Maya's voice was soft but firm when she replied. "That's just how I treat people, Marcus. All people." "I know," he said. "And that's why I'm not letting this be just a moment." Back at work, things continued to change. Offers flooded Maya's inbox, consulting gigs, speaking engagements, brand workshops. People wanted to work with the woman who'd shown grace under fire, who'd turned cruelty into opportunity. She accepted some offers, declined others, and through it all, she stayed exactly who she'd always been. Grounded, dignified, real. Jessica returned to the office after her suspension, but she never spoke to Maya again. There was no apology grand enough. No words sufficient. Just silence and avoidance. And honestly, Maya was fine with that. Some people don't change. And that's not your burden to carry. 8 months later, on a soft, rainy morning, Maya stood in front of a mirror adjusting pearl earrings. Her wedding dress was simple. Off-white silk, fitted at the waist, flowing to the floor. Timeless. Her sister stood behind her, tears already streaming down her face. "You look like you walked out of a dream." Maya met her eyes in the mirror. "No," she said softly. "I walked through fire first." The venue was a glass-walled garden in the hills outside Chicago. No paparazzi. No spectacle. Just close friends, family, and people who genuinely loved them. Marcus stood at the altar in a black suit, no tie. Relaxed. Intentional. Real. When Maya walked down the aisle, their eyes locked. And everything else disappeared. The efficient spoke about choice, about courage, about two people who met not because fate demanded it, but because they chose to see each other truly. When it was time for vows, Marcus's voice shook slightly. I never believed I'd find someone who could see me without the armor, he said. But that night at the bistro, you didn't just see me. You held space for me. You met me at my worst and treated me with your best. What started as a test became the clearest answer of my life. Maya stepped forward, her eyes glistening. I didn't expect a miracle, she said. But I did expect kindness. Honesty. And when I gave that without knowing who you were, you didn't mock it. You honored it. You let it change you. And that, Marcus, that's the only power I care about. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. At the reception, Marcus stood with a glass of champagne and addressed the guests. Some of you know how we met, he said. So let me tell you the truth. She was set up as a joke by people who thought it would be funny to watch her squirm. What they didn't know was that their cruelty would lead her to me. And what I didn't know was that her kindness would undo everything I thought I understood about people. He raised his glass. To Maya, the woman who saw golden rags, who treated a stranger like a king long before she knew he was one. You didn't just walk into my life. You changed its meaning. The applause was thunderous. As the night wound down, Marcus and Maya stood at the edge of the garden, barefoot in the damp grass. The rain had stopped. The stars were out. I still remember how you looked at me that first night, Marcus murmured, wrapping his arms around her. I remember thinking, God, I hope he showers before the second date, Maya teased. Marcus laughed, kissing her hair. And thank God you gave me one. She turned in his arms. You know what's funny? They tried to mock me by sending me to that date. But they ended up handing me the love story they never saw coming. He pulled her closer. And I ended up with the one woman who loved me before I ever introduced myself. Above them, the stars blinked. No cameras. No cruelty. No mockery. Just a man and a woman who'd turned a joke into magic. Who'd met as strangers across a table. And became partners through grace, truth, and love that rewrote its own ending. So, my friends, what do we learn from Maya's story? That dignity is never wasted. That grace under pressure reveals character. That how we treat people when we think they have nothing to offer says everything about who we are. Maya could have walked out. She could have been embarrassed, angry, cruel in return. But she chose kindness. And that kindness didn't just change one night. It changed her entire life. The people who tried to break her? They gave her the greatest gift they never intended. A man who saw her worth because she never forgot her own. So the next time someone underestimates you, mocks you, or tries to make you feel small, remember Maya. Hold your head high. Treat people with dignity. And trust that grace always finds its way home. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, you are worthy. You are valuable. And your kindness is never, ever wasted. Until next time, stay strong, stay graceful, and keep believing in beautiful endings.